Since the inception of RC trucks, the big question has been around. However, it hasn't been so fervently fought between most of you fuckers so hard. You speed demons, you. Which one is faster, Nitro or Electrics? Now, using my Big Bear as a reference here, this is a late 80s truck, mid to late 80s truck. The only thing different about mine is I've got a electronic speed controller in there. I've got a Hobby Wing quick run. I think it's a 1060 or a 1080. However, I still have the original motor that came with this. This Mari silver can Yoko Mo some shit that I can't pronounce correctly. Silver can motor. This still has the original motor in it. Now, this truck in general, on the newer LiPo battery, I've got this thing up to about 25 miles an hour, roughly. Actually, strike that. I think the last speed run I did on 2-cell was 20 on the dot. So, 20 miles an hour out of that brushed motor, but that's on a 2-cell LiPo. That's a pretty modern battery. Back when these came out, they used nickel cadmium batteries, or NiCads. And those were nowhere near as powerful or nowhere near as efficient as the newer LiPo batteries. So I'd imagine this thing, maybe, if you got lucky and hopped it up as much as possible with, all the upgrades you could do back in the day, you'd probably, maybe, be lucky if you hit 20. And this is just with that stock motor. That's not even a torque-tuned motor or a race-tuned motor. That's just the stock, what came in the kit motor. So, yeah, when the big debate really started for all you speed heads out there, this was basically the peak of technology for the electronic side of the RC world. Brushed motors, mechanical speed controllers, and NiCad batteries. Later on, of course, there was NIMS, or nickel metal hydro batteries, but even then, those still did not have as much punch as today's modern LiPos do. In comes the Nitro trucks for you speed demons. As an example, I've got Misbehave here, my AMC Javelin Nitro Rustler. As you can see, that is a Traxxas TRX 0.15 motor. Now, these motors weren't readily available, as far as I'm aware, back when Traxxas was really first got into the Nitros. I believe they had a 0.12 on the Nitro Hawk, I believe, or the I'm not sure if the Blue Eagle was a Nitro truck, but I know the Hawk had a Nitro version, and I believe that came with the 0.12. This is the 0.15, just a small block, and these things rip. It screams at about, I think it said 30,000 RPM, roughly, something like that. I'm not 100% sure on the numbers, but I know a while ago when I looked it up, I was looking up the different RPM and speed ratings for the 0.15, the 2.5, and the 3.3 Traxxas motors. Now, this motor, with the stock gearing that comes on the Rustler, which is I think it's a 74 tooth spur, or 72. I believe I put a slightly bigger, I know I got a slightly bigger spur gear on mine, so it's a little faster top end wise, however a little bit slower on the acceleration, because the bigger the gear, the less off the line acceleration you have, but the more top end speed you have. So out of the box with this motor, this truck, and the Nitro Sport, which is essentially the same damn thing, both these trucks are rated for about 35-40 miles an hour. You put a bigger gear, you put a racing pipe. Right now I've got the tuned Traxxas resonator pipe on here. Doesn't really, I mean, I don't really notice too much, but you can hop these Nitro trucks up, bigger gears, different exhausts. There is ways to get more power out of them. Now, in comparison, a little bit of nitro fuel, a little bit of tuning, and you're getting 40, 45 miles an hour out of the box on these things compared to what, say, like Tamiya was getting out of stuff like the Blackfoot, the Grasshopper, the Hornet, the Astute. I believe that's a four-wheel drive buggy. I believe that one was pretty quick. Clodbuster. A lot of the Tamiyas of the time all were just running brushed motors. Yeah, you could get the sport tune motors or the torque tune motors for the bigger or smaller, faster trucks, but they still were no match for the Nitros. Speed-wise, for quite some time, Nitros were the king, and of course Nitro motors just kept getting bigger and bigger, putting out more power and getting more speed. Like for instance, my T-Max here. This T-Max originally came, this specific one anyway, the truck that I got came with a 0.15, and I have since upgraded it to a 2.5. So it has the smaller of the Traxxas big blocks, and this motor is rated for about 45 to 50 miles an hour. Now in this T-Max, this has a 2-speed transmission. It's probably, I think 50 would be a good safe bet when you actually let it get up to full speed and you have a big enough space to run this truck, because this truck is huge. There's no way a Blackfoot, even with a sport tune motor or race tune motor or any of the Tamiya racing buggies of the time, were going to keep up with this. And that motor you could even put in the Nitro Rustler or something like the Nitro Stampede, and you can get some nasty speeds out of these things. Even for on-road cars like the Nitro Fortec. This one's got a 0.15. You can get them with a 2.5 or a 3.3. They've been discontinued for a little bit now, but you can still find them, and these have a 2-speed transmission, and these are fast. Even with this 0.15 with the 2-speed, I have a feeling this thing could probably easily get up to 45, 50 miles an hour, maybe more if I had a big enough space I could just really let it eat. And these are just some of the trucks, these are just based off the trucks I have. Like the Traxxas T-Max's biggest competitor, the HPI Savage, those things could be built stupid. They have all sorts of modifications and upgrades you can do to make them bigger, faster. They are just unholy customizable. The T-Max is in that same, same line of, you can customize these things to the high heavens, and you'll never find one with the exact same modifications that you've made. And for the on-road cars, the HPI RS4, I believe, was one of the Nitro ones, and that was one of the biggest contenders. Correct me if I'm wrong with the exact model names. I believe they had an RS3 as well. That was also Nitro, and one of those came with a 2-speed, just like the Nitro Fortec. But Nitro trucks, for the longest time, were the cream of the crop when it comes to speed runs. And even Kyosho, a lot of older Kyosho Nitros, even some of the newer ones, are still stupid fast. Take this Ultima ST, still not running. It's a roller, but it's not quite ready to go yet. So for a while, Nitro was on top. And then here comes the downfall of Nitro. The one thing that really, really has taken the speed out of Nitro and brought it back to the electric side. Introducing the brushless system. Now this one I'm showing off is inside, not a truck, but a custom boat that I've designed and I'm testing. This is a 120 amp brushless ESC with a 3100 kV brushless motor. Now this setup here can handle 2 to 3 cell lipos. I have a 2-cell lipo in here that for testing. Brushless really changed the game for a lot of electric racers, being they are so much faster and they are so much more efficient. You can get damn near double the battery runtime, depending on your battery size and your setup and what truck it's in, from just switching to brushless and putting in a lipo using just based off of a 2-cell lipo battery. Like this one here is a Venom. I believe this is it's a 3300 milliamp hour, 25 constant 2-cell lipo battery pack. This one, this battery alone, just by itself in a brush system, you'd probably get 15 minutes of playtime, maybe 20, depending on the size of the truck. If it's just in, say, a 2-wheel drive electric rustler or a Bandit, a lighter truck, or even a Grasshopper, that size battery with a brush system that can handle lipo batteries, you maybe get 15-20 minutes of runtime out of it. Well, with the lipo battery and the brushless, you're looking at 20, 25, sometimes 30 minutes of runtime, depending on the size of the battery, the milliamp hours, because that tells you how long a battery pack lasts. Now, I'm just going to use my crawler as an example. My Vitera Ascender with a 2-cell lipo and a brush system, the stock brush system that came in this truck, I was getting roughly a half hour. Maybe if I was lucky, depending on the weather conditions and how hard I was really running it, I might be able to get 35 minutes out of the battery. Now I've switched to a brushless system and I get 45 consistent of full power. And then even then, I still get a little bit more time with just less power. So much more efficient than brushed motor systems. And the speeds coming off of these brushless systems, oh my god, it is crazy. Out of the box, Kyosho Outlaw Rampage Pro came with a brush system with a 15-turn brushed motor. On 2-cell lipo, that truck was doing 25 miles an hour out of the box without touching the gears. Now, I haven't gotten a full speed run in on it yet, but I can tell you right now, my Blackfoot was also doing, as it sits right now with the brushless system in a 2-cell, the way it's geared, this truck does 25. Measured, and that's where it stands. I'm not going any more. I'm not pushing this truck any further. The Kyosho smokes this top end. So the Kyosho now with the brushless system is much faster. I can guarantee at least 30, 35 miles an hour because it flies past this thing, both of them at full throttle. It flies past this like it's sitting still. So easily, I would say this one now hits 35 at least. All these other trucks here, my 2 tracks of sledgehammers, my Grasshopper, Losi Baja Ray, my Frankenbuster, all of those have brushless systems. These two, I haven't done speed runs. The Grasshopper I have, that does, as it's set up and sits right now, 25. And I'm not pushing it any further. The Baja Ray, I clocked that at 42 on 2-cell. When I tried to put in a 3-cell on the brushless, it destroyed all 3 out of my 4 plastic Vitera beadlock wheels that are made for race trucks. And the Baja Ray is a heavy trophy truck. The Frankenbuster, it's set up, it's a monster truck. It's not set up for top speed. However, it does about 20. And that's with those big wheels, 4-wheel steering, and it can crab walk. All these street cars here are all brushless, and they'll all do roughly 30 miles an hour. If I were to put on non-drift tires. Right now I'm running drift tires on every single one of them but this one. Nitro Fortec on non-drift tires easily outdoes all of these. on drift while these are on drift tires. However, if I were to put sticky racing tires on these, I have a feeling out of the hole these would win no problem. With the brushless systems, that's the biggest advantage that they got over the Nitro, is out of the hole, brushless is so much faster. Nitro may still have top end if you have a good setup, but if you do, we're actually to do a scale quarter-mile drag race with these, the brushless systems, they'll take off out of the hole so much faster and they'll get up to speed so much faster, whereas the Nitro will take a lot of time to get up to speed. Now, and that's really where the Nitro has fallen speed-wise. With the addition of brushless systems in in the majority of trucks sold nowadays, a lot of people keep saying that Nitro has no place in the world anymore because it's just loud, noisy, and it's messy. Nitro fuel, as you can see, under all my Nitro trucks, I keep rags to catch any fuel that may or may not leak out of the exhaust tip after a run. Nitro is a bit messy and it's loud, but they are still so much fun. So really the biggest question, it comes down to what do you like personally? For me, I used to hate Nitro because I had one and I could never get it to run. Since I've got 5 Nitro trucks now, 4 of them are running. I've really enjoyed when I take them out to play on a nice day because that sound, the smell of burning nitro fuel, and the feeling you get when you push the start button and the motor kicks to life, it's just satisfying. Yes, electrics are much faster at this point. Now that they're brushless and you got lithium polymer or lipo batteries that can go up to 6 cells in a single battery pack, you can get stupid speeds. If all you're after is speed, electric is the way to go. But if you want to have a good time, I say Nitro. As much as I love all my electric trucks, and I drive most of these pretty regularly, I still can't help take the Nitro trucks out because they are just that much fun to run. Now I'll get into Nitro Care in a different video if you guys want to see that. Leave a comment in the down below in the comments saying, you know, something like Nitro Aftercare or, you know, something similar to that. If you guys want to know a little bit more about Nitro. I'm still learning myself as I'm still pretty new to Nitro motors, and I probably did some stuff wrong over this past winter. I mean, I ran all my trucks dry. However, I know some people have a ritual on how they meticulously clean everything before storing. However, you know, once the weather started getting nice, all I did was pour fuel in the tank, and all of these have just started right up and have run. So can I really answer which one's better, nitro or electric? Unfortunately, that's for you to decide for yourself. For me though, as much as I love my electrics, there's just something about the nitro trucks that are just so much fun to drive, and they are just such a pleasure to have around in the collection. It's basically just up to you. There are so many different choices in the RC hobby. You can choose all different brands, all different makes and models, all different purposes: monster trucks, crawlers, street cars, drift cars, race trucks, stadium trucks, buggies, trophy trucks. There are just so many different kinds of trucks to choose from that you really just got to find one you like. You like the body style, you like the upgrades that it can get, or, you know, you just want something cheap to get started and, you know, possibly try out. Don't shy away from it. At least give it a shot. Give it a legit chance. And maybe nitro isn't for you. Maybe you're all electric. Maybe you're all nitro and no electric. Who knows? But that's something you have to decide for yourself. Thanks for sticking around to the end of the video. And thank you to our sponsor. Just kidding. There is no sponsor. If you like this kind of content, feel free to check out one of my other playlists or any of my other videos, hit that subscribe button and like the little bell notification, be notified about all my newest videos. Leave a like, a comment, reach out on any of the social medias that will be linked in the description below. If you have any other questions, reach any of those will do. I try and check my messages pretty much daily, and I try and keep up with the comments on these videos. You know, try and make sure if you guys have questions, I can answer them in a timely manner. So stay tuned for more and have fun.